Assalamualaikum to Madam Aisyah, Madam Zuraida and Dr. Nunisa. Today our group will present about our final year project proposal. The title for our project is Stress and Sleep Among Workers in Johor Bahru. We are from class CS 241 5T2, group 7. For today's presentation, there are three presenters. First is Alia Hadirah binti Muhammad Ghazali. The ID number is 2020980489. Second is Nur Sharanisa binti Muhammad Nazri. The ID number is 2020997291. And I, Anis Nadirah binti Muhammad Noor. ID number 2020958063. So let's begin with the introduction.
Introduction. Sleep is important and plays a big role for the health in someone's life. A good sleep every night will make someone feel refreshed in the morning and can carry out their routine as usual. The National Sleep Foundation has recommended that adults between 25 to 60 years old should sleep between 7 to 8 hours a day. However, there are a survey shown that Malaysian adults only get 6.4 hours of sleep, and at least 51% of workers are suffering from work that are related to stress. Mental health is divided into three categories, which are anxiety, depression, and stress. There are many factors that can lead to insufficient sleep, such as lifestyle, environment, sleep quality, and hygiene. For the first variable is lifestyle. As we know, most people work night shift and unable to sleep well throughout the day. Fatigue mood changes like depression, diseased cognitive function like not focused into their work, and poor in making decisions have been a symptoms of sleep deprivation. Second variable is environment. Chronic workplace stress is linked to poor mental health as well as sleep issues. Reactivity to work overload, social conflict, social stress are included on stress reactivity scale. However, little is known about stress management intervention can improve stress activity, leads to the long-term health benefit. For the next variable is sleep quality. In today's fast-paced connected society, sleep deprivation is a common and pressing health problem. Sleep loss is defined as a sleep period less than the 7 to 8 hours required for restful sleep, while sleep disruption is defined as poor sleep quality that interferes with daily activities. Sleep quality can be susceptible to the alteration due to irrepressible or random stress. It is also evident that perceived stress hinders the sleep quality. The higher the perceived stress, the worse the sleep quality. The last variable is sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is examined by observing behavior and environmental factors that are considered to cause or lead to poor sleep quality. For example, a typical sleep hygiene item would query the subject as the caffeine intake before their bedtime. Many activities are considered a good sleep hygiene as well as they promote a good sleep. Some of them include such as avoiding caffeine, nicotine and alcohol near their bedtime. Second, avoid napping of occasional pattern and then maintain their regular sleep. And lastly, avoid highly demanding activities in the bedroom.
World Health Organization (WHO) defined mental health as a state of well-being in which a person realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with normal stresses of life, can productively work together, and can contribute to his or her own community. In recent years, there has been an increasing acknowledgement of the important role mental health plays in achieving global development goals. For example, estimates by WHO in 2002 showed that 154 million people globally suffers from depression, and that was 19 years ago. Sleep, on the other hand, is a condition of the body and mind that typically recurs for several hours every night, in which the nervous system is relatively inactive, the eyes closed, the postural muscles relaxed, and consciousness practically suspended. Troubled sleep is considered both a predictive sign and a symptom of many illnesses. sleep disturbance are so commonly seen as symptoms of certain psychiatric disorders. In this study, there are three main objectives. The first one is to identify the relationship between stress and sleep. The second one is to examine if lifestyle, environment, hygiene, sleep quality affects an individual's score of stress. And the last one is to determine the best variable to be included in the model. From the research objectives, we can derive three research questions. The first one is, what is the relationship between stress and sleep? The second one is, do lifestyle, hygiene, environment, sleep quality affect an individual's score of stress? And the last one is, how do we determine the best variable to be included in the model? From the research questions and research objectives, we can derive a theoretical framework that has four independent variables, which are lifestyle, hygiene, sleep quality, and environment. And the dependent variable is the score of stress of workers.
Next is about scope and limitation. The scope of the study focuses around working adults in Johor Bahru. This study intends to collect and analyze the stress of workers and their sleep quality. For the limitation of this study that can be used to collect the data needed, which is self-administered questionnaire. Due to pandemic COVID-19, it is hard to make it face-to-face, and it may not be easy to find respondents related to the topic due to the unmonitored distribution of questionnaires. Significance of the study. Sleep problems can lead to changes in stress, but stress conditions can also worsen problems with sleep. Sleep deprivation can make someone feel irritated and exhausted, but it can also have serious long-term consequences. There is no objection regarding the fact that sleep plays an important role in good physical and mental health. People with chronic sleep disturbance are more likely to be involved in accidents, have higher rates of work absenteeism, lower job performance, lower quality of life, and use more healthcare services than people who sleep well. The finding of this study will directly benefit the workers to have an awareness about their stress and sleep conditions.
The research design that is going to be used in this study is descriptive design. Descriptive design is a method in which it involves observing and describing the behavior of a subject without influencing it in any way. The population of our study is all workers in Johor Bahru, and the sample for the study is a subset of our target population.
For the sampling method in this study, we use non-probability sampling technique, which is convenient sampling. This because it is fast, inexpensive, and easy to conduct. The data collection method will be collected using an online self-administered questionnaire. The data for this study will be collected for approximately 14 days. Research instrument. The questionnaire is adapted from the sleep survey questions, home sleeping conditions and sleep quality in low-income preschool children, Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index, known as PSQI, Sleep Hygiene Index, known as SHI, and Perceived Stress Scale, known as PSS.
The regression model for our study is this, with Y being the score of stress, X1 the lifestyle, X2 environment, X3 sleep quality, X4 hygiene, B0 until B4 the parameters of the model, and E as the error of the model. Next is checking assumptions, which has 5 ways. The first one is detecting the linear relationship between independent and dependent variables. To determine if there is a relationship between independent variables and dependent variables, we can use scatter plot or partial plot to check. To check this assumption, the closer the different data falls to the line, the more accurate the model. The second one is normality. The best way to examine normality is by using a QQ plot or a PP plot. This can be checked by visualizing the angle of the QQ or PP plot. If it lies at a 45-degree line, it is a perfectly normal distribution. The third way is the area variance constant. The area variance constant or homoscedasticity can be examined by using the plot of residuals against the predicted or fitted values. The fourth way is by checking the outliers, or also known as the uncommon values in a dataset. We can use three ways, which is by using box plot, histogram, or scatter plot. Lastly is multicollinearity. Multicollinearity occurs when independent variables used in a multiple linear regression is highly correlated. In a model with correlated variables, it becomes difficult to find out which variable is actually contributing to predict the response variable. So there are three methods that can be used to detect multicollinearity. First one is to check the correlation matrix. The second one is the variance inflation factor. And the third one is tolerance statistic. In conclusion, if all of the assumptions are fulfilled, we can proceed to the next step, which is the test for significance. Or if one of the assumptions is not fulfilled, we can proceed to the next step, which is transformation. Transformation is done to ensure linearity, to achieve normality, or to stabilize the variance. The first one is transformation of a nonlinear relationship. To achieve the linearity of the model can be linearized by using the reciprocal transformation. Next is the transformation for non-normality and unequal area variances. Since these two always happen together, we can do a transformation on y, since the shape and distribution of y needs to be changed.
Next is test of significance. First is f-test to check the overall significance. It indicates whether the linear regression model provides a better fit to the data than a model that contains no independent variables. There are two hypotheses. First, H null is beta 1 equal to beta 2 equal to beta 3 equal to beta 4 equal to 0. And the second is H1 is at least 1 beta not equal to 0. The null hypothesis is rejected if the F distribution greater than critical value. Next is to identify factors that efficiency to score of stress. The t-test is used to check the significance of individual regression coefficient in the multiple linear regression model. The hypothesis statements to test the significance of a particular regression coefficient are H null is beta equal to 0 and H1 is beta not equal to 0. The analyst would fail to reject the null hypothesis if t distribution less than critical value. The last one is coefficient of determination. The coefficient of multiple determination R² is a statistical measure of how close the data are to a fitted regression line. An increase in the value of R² cannot be taken as a sign to conclude that the new model is superior to the older model. A better statistic to use is the adjusted R² statistic. The adjusted R² only increases when significant terms are added to the model.
For the last step of data analysis, we will compare the best variable to be included in the model. First, we can use R² or SSE criterion. And for R² value can only increase as more variables are added. For example, if the best predictor model value of R² for variable x1 is 60.5, while if we added x2 in the model, the R² value will become 89.5. Therefore, it will be better since the increase is larger. While for another example, if we add another variable which is x3, the R² value will increase to 92.3. The difference is smaller if we compare to the x1 and x2 variable before. Therefore, we can conclude that the best model is the model with the two predictors, which is predictors x1 and x2. For the second step, we can use adjusted R-squared or MSE criterion. The adjusted R-squared value and MSE is quantifies how far away the predictor responds from the observed response. Naturally, the distance has to be smaller. Therefore, according to the MSE criterion, the best regression model is the one with the smallest MSE. The result shows that the adjusted R-squared value is increased only if the MSE decrease. So we can conclude that the adjusted R-squared value and MSE criteria always yield the same best model. Next is table of summary. As you know, for this project, we have 3 objectives. For the first objective is to identify the relationship between stress and sleep. For this objective, we will use F-test to find the significance between stress and sleep. For the second objective is to examine lifestyle, sleep quality, hygiene and environment that will affect an individual's score of stress. For this objective, we will use T-test to identify the significance for the each variable to the individual score of stress. And lastly is to determine the best variable to be included in the model. For this objective, we will use R-squared and R-squared adjusted to pick the best variable. In conclusion, this study was conducted to measure relationship between stress and sleep, whether the lifestyle, sleep quality, hygiene and environment will affect an individual score of stress, and lastly, to determine the best variable to be included in the model. Convenience sampling will be used to select the sample, and self-administrated questionnaire will be given to the users to obtain the data. In order to analyze the data, we will use the multiple linear regression. So that's all for our presentation. Thank you for your time and Assalamualaikum.